Everyone say hi, Eric! Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. This time we're going to be tackling Ranni's hat from Elden Ring. I made my Ranni... Welcome back? Welcome back to part 2 of my Ranni cosplay creation video. If you haven't seen my first Ranni video, please click here somewhere and watch that. Go watch it first and then come back. I covered the full process of the arms, the robe, and any other little details and stuff. Ranni is a character in Elden Ring that you can actually marry once completing her questline. When we were first ridiculed at the beginning of the game for being maidenless, the devs made it clear. Objective, acquire waifu. Elden Ring is the most complicated dating sim, and you cannot convince me otherwise. If you know me, you know one look at anything with a large brim hat and multiple arms, I'm gonna be on that like fly like... Quick recap, I made this Ranni costume because 1, I love Elden Ring. 2, Emmy asked me to be a judge for her cosplay contest, so I wanted to bring something that was a little bit more PG, and usually I'm a bit of a hoe when it comes to cosplay.
That's fair.
If thou hast stumbled upon my moving scroll of particulars, and does not seek the knowledge of fabrication and craft, fear not. For I possess a domain of tantalizing delights, to enjoy the fruits of my inviting exertions.
I'm a hoe. Now it's time to tackle the arguably best part of Ranni's entire outfit, her large witch hat. Let's go!
I did a lot of research before I tackled the base of the hat because honestly, I did not want to sew this. I've made huge hats from foam in the past, so I decided to go with that route since it was something I was familiar with and I have experience in. SKS Props has an awesome witch hat foam tutorial that really helped fill in the mind gaps as well. Let's go, Steve! Let's go! Woo! I used 2mm EVA foam for the hat. I started with a large circle and then cut a smaller circle inside of that. It doesn't have to be perfect size because this hat is more like a mushroom cap than a hat, so don't stress about the inner size. I made the actual circle of the hat super large so I could cut it down if I needed to. For the point of the hat, you want to make a little pizza shape and then attach on either side of the pizza. Circulate the pizza. Attach it. You want to cut your triangle with a little curved bottom so that can line up with the base of the hat that you've made. Then you want to tack the edges together to make a super cone. A mega cone, if you will.
What is this called again?
The cones of Dunshire.
To attach the brim to the cone, cut little notches that will flit up into the cone to give you a good, stable, secure attachment. I used contact cement for this whole process of attaching everything. My rim isn't as big as Ranni's. I wanted to make sure she was gonna fit in my suitcase, so I could take her places if I needed to. Sometimes you have to think about that with cosplay. To make sure the hat stays nice and stiff and fluffy, you want to put a bunch of batting or fluff into the base of the hat. Steve goes into this really in depth on his tutorial, so go watch it! To make her posable and to keep her form and shape, line a bit of wire along the base back so that you can pose and bend it into the shape that you want. Because it is 2mm EVA foam, have a lot of fun scronkling and squanching that shit up because Ranni's hat is very textured and you almost want to simulate a felt fabric vibe with it. Take some wire and line the brim of your hat to stop it from falling in your face as well. This will help you achieve the exact shape of the brim that you want and also give you a lot more control with posing for the final shape of the hat at the end. Not shown is me actually taking out huge chunks of the side to make the hat a little bit smaller. A really iconic part of Ranni's hat is the scraunchy texture because it's like super weathered felt and fabric. That I honestly was a bit stumped on how to do. Because this foam is super thin, you can heat and scrunch it to give it that old felt texture. Heat the foam and scrunch it over and over and over and over again. Not sponsored at all, but this foam is my favorite. Be careful not to poke a finger through it because you will, because it's quite thin, but
I'm still thinking about that day.
Just heat and scrunch as you go. Since you have wire in your hat and brim, you can use that to your advantage and scrunch the hat up as much as you can and then heat the foam. Let it cool and then slowly unscrunch it. Once you have sufficiently scrambled your scrambly,
all I can do is self-destruct.
you want to seal it in place. I used about 5 layers of plasti tape. I used about 5 layers of plasti tape to keep the shape that I ended up getting. Because I live in Satan's rectum, it's actually already 90 degrees, and this process went really quickly, and I was able to layer up the plasti dip quickly. It's the only good thing about living in Arizona is everything dries really quickly. Oh, and we also have really cute little lizards and snakes. They're quite cute.
Goodness, am I still a serpent?
And scorpions. Since you now have a more rigid base hat to go off of, you can now add any fillers or anything that could fill in the gaps. I used foam clay to get right into the nooks and crannies. Wait for whatever sealant to dry and cure, and then prime with a high fill primer. This will help get it ready for painting and will help make your hat more stiff. Now for painting. I thought if I added fine powder to my paint, I could technically make it look nice and textured and kind of like fabric. So I added powdered cinnamon. And yes, before you ask, this hat smells like a delicious bakery.
Slayer's cake.
Honestly, any fine powder that will keep its granulability will do. You want to make sure you can still see the grittiness of the powder through the paint. Like, I wouldn't use powdered sugar because I think that would just make icing, and then you'd end up with like a toaster strudel hat and bees might attack you. If that's something you want, you go ahead, be free, you kinky little bitch.
So you'll just us to death?
We'll sure try.
Let me know how it goes. Add your powder to at least water and paint mixture so you can start with a light layer across your hat. I used white and gray to layer up my textures and my paint. I just stopped reading the script and started having a small mental breakdown. I dry brushed a light highlight to all the tops of the parts of the wrinkles of the hat to help with the dimension. If this hat existed in real life, the more protruded parts of the hat would be hit with more sunlight, weathering, existential crisis, pain, sadness. So add that to the highlight of those risen areas. Let your depression guide your brush.
Ready to have some fun? Let's do it.
Because you have a more textured paint that can also help get rid of any cracks and seams you might have left on your hat to make it look a little bit more seamless. The more layers of paint and powder, the better, since Ranni is an adorable weathered little doll and that hat looks like it's been through hell and the lands between.
Ranni's hat technically does not glow, but because she has the soul kind of dripping out of her doll body, I wanted something that I could do in real life to kind of bring that magic. So I decided to put LEDs in the hat. Made the hat very heavy, but I put LEDs in the hat. Sometimes with cosplay, you have to get a little bit more creative on how to bring things from video game, anime, movie world into our reality. So I figured with putting LEDs along the entire brim of the hat, it would make the hat look a little bit more like it was made of stars and maybe glow down onto the face to make it look a little bit more ethereal. And I think I fucking nailed it. The plan is to put tinfoil on the inside of here, then glue the LEDs on top of the tinfoil. In like a rounded thing so the light's dispersed. And then this is LED foam. So hopefully I'll be able to put that on top of that and it'll help disperse it. And then I'm gonna do lots of little swirlies with hot glue to kind of simulate that weird texture she's got like going. When I had the LEDs on before, they were kind of warm. So I'm hoping these aren't the ones that catch fire. But we'll see. These are the ones. They're pretty good. They're just straight blue and they have a little sticky on the back. Technically, I don't really have to glue them on. I can just line them around. The point of the tinfoil is to help the light bounce and disperse within the little pocket I'm gonna create. This stuff to stick it on because I'm trying to eliminate bulk as well on the hat.
Use your spray adhesive in a well-ventilated area and start applying your tinfoil. I always use this technique whenever I'm trying to light something up in a costume because it helps capture any light leaks and directs it in one direction like a light bulb or an LED. The LED strips I purchased had a peel and stick back, so I didn't have to worry about hot glue on the actual LEDs, which was good because I'm playing with fire with these.
I did this with my Syndragosa cosplay way back in the day.
I ended up using 4 different LED strips, which was way more than I actually needed and only ever ended up lighting the 2 closest to my head. Wow. But where do you put the batteries? You have a whole little head place to put that in there. So just blip right there, glue it up.
I think my head is probably gonna catch on fire.
For the under brim of the hat, I took my LED foam and started to add hot glue squiggles all over the place, similar to the design in Ranni's hat. It is textured in some way, so even if you don't add LEDs, this is a nice way to bring some dimension to your hat. You could also use puffy paint if you aren't trying to make it glow. It's good to frequently check how the squiggles look on the lit LEDs of the hat, so go back and forth when you're making the glue wormies to see if it fits your vibe. Once you're all set, glue the LED foam to the edges of the hat. Make sure to only glue to the edges of the hat and not to the tin foil. You have to make a foam to foam connection to prevent the lip of the brim from undoing. Take some little clips and pinch down the edges while you glue. These LEDs are battery pack operated, so just glue those to the side of your hat. This is where everything is now hitting you on how heavy it is or not, depending on the materials you've used. Once you're happy with the light distribution of your LEDs through your foam, it's time to seal it up. You're going to want to use a couple of layers to make sure this seals correctly. LED foam tends to be a lot less dense than regular foam, so you will need to layer it up to get rid of that porousness. Now it's time to paint! To get that magical glow, I would highly recommend airbrushing your underbrim for this technique to fully take effect. If you've not tried out an airbrush machine and really want to take your stuff to the next level, you gotta do it, man. I can't recommend it enough. Okay, I'm done pitching. When you are painting your LED foam, make sure to turn your lights on and off so you can see how much paint you're applying periodically. You want to make sure you don't completely cover all your hard work you just did with a heavy hand of paint. A nice balance of paint will make it so even if your hat's lights aren't on, you can still enjoy the paint job. A gentle gradient of blue to white as you make your way to the edge of the brim. What's the phobia? What's that phobia? Glue.
I've only had Arlo for a day and a half. But if anything happened to him, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself.
Hot glue phobia? Cryptophobia. Fear of Bitcoin. Take your time with this part and just to continue to layer the paint over the foam and glue, and you can figure out how much light you want to disperse through your hat. Again, I know that Ranni's hat doesn't glow, but with cosplay, you gotta find cool, nifty, unique ways to kind of make things translate to real life. And since Ranni, the most iconic part of her is the fact that like her soul is dripping out of her doll body. So this was what I came up with to kind of do that. Be innovative with your cosplay. Do stuff. Also, if you don't have time to do LEDs, that's fine too. It's still gonna look sick. If you end up using this technique, tag me. I thought I was being extra as fuck when I came up with this, but I know there are those out there who possess the same demons that I do. So, please, I want to see your demons. Fuck. The metal ring that's around the top of Ranni's head. To make this wire crown, take some easily bendable wire and start bending and flexing the wire into the shapes that you want. I use some 14 gauge floral wire from the craft store, but you can use whatever you're comfy with. Lay down your wire, get a little squiggly squag, and then once you have the shape you like, layer it up with hot glue. I am Jessica, ho dreams of hot glue, and I will never choose a conventional way to create a costume if the hot glue is to be found. Wow, it looks awesome. If you take your time with this technique, you can absolutely get it close to the reference without too much stress. I love easy hacks that make you feel powerful. Honestly, don't stress. Whatever you do will look really cool as long as it's organic and gnarly looking. Because honestly, the only people who say, that's not accurate, have never touched foam or hot glue in their entire life. Also, I bet they don't put their dishes away right away. And do we really want to waste time on that kind of No! Make them suck your dick. Cover it with lots of layers of Plasti Dip because this stuff is flexible. It will also fill in any of the little cracks and bumps and stuff that you may have missed. And then go ahead and just give it a coat of silver chrome or silver rub and buff. And you've done it! Thou art no longer maidenless because you have become the maiden.
My dear consort eternal.
You've done it all! Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for just coming back, leaving nice comments, liking the video, all that stuff. And if this helps you, fuck yeah. The next video that's gonna be coming out is my... She's on top of it! She said that last time. She's not on top of it. She's a liar. Even if you aren't into Elden Ring, the game, I would really recommend just watching some lore videos and stuff. They're so fun. There's just so much that goes into these games that you just can't pick up just from playing it. And they help a lot because like all Souls games, the whole purpose of the game might be in the description of a sword buried at the back of the game dungeon 40,000 below. There's a random guy with a little hat in a boat that would tell you to go that way. If you did that, you would go there and you'd discover the whole point of what the game is. So watch the lore videos. If you play Souls games, you know this. There are also a ton of other cosplayers and stuff who have made costumes that I'm showcasing, so please, if you want to find some more people to follow who are talented and amazing, go check that out at the end. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Fuck you. I love you. Bye.